All right, let's get started. So, I'm going to talk about a couple of issues today that I think are going to be extremely valuable to your trading experience. And that means we are going to be talking about linear regression. And when I say linear regression, I mean pretty much the basics and fundamentals of what linear regression is about. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about. That's what I'm talking about. No, seriously. We're going to talk about the uses of the linear regression, what is linear regression, and how to use linear regression. So, what are the uses? What is it? And how are we going to use it? That's really what it comes down to today. So, let's start with the uses. First of all, there's no doubt. It's clear as a bell. You can identify a trend better than any way I can imagine. There's nothing else I can think of that shows you so visibly clear the trend. Secondly, it's going to allow you to extrapolate that trend to the future. It's not going to be precise, but it's going to give you a direction. Third, it's going to help you identify reference points, key points, including the entry, the exit, support, resistance, stop loss points. And we'll show you that before we're finished today. It will enable you to visualize the price action. It's extremely simple, and we're going to show you that as well. Visualizing cycles. Now, that's the one I really love, and I enjoy looking at a cycle. When I see a beautiful cycle and I can see it with the linear regression lines, and I've got great altitude on the peaks and valleys. I've got beautiful timing on the frequency or the time between peaks and valleys. Doesn't get better than that. So this is a graph, price chart actually, with just the candlesticks and the price. Nothing else. And it's pretty challenging to understand what is going on here. Yeah, we've got some gaps somewhere right around here. We've got another gap here, but it doesn't give us any real understanding of what's happening with this price action. But check this out. Now, what we're going to talk about first of all is that there are 5 lines or plots, as is commonly used, to define a linear regression. The first is the linear regression line itself. Well, that linear regression line is calculated using what we call, statistically speaking, a least square method. It's a predictive tool, and we're able to kind of forecast price and time using it in a general way. But ultimately, what it does is it gives us a line directly through all of the data, and it looks like this. Man, isn't that beautiful? That line is as straight as an arrow. It's assuming the arrow is straight, but it's a straight line, and that's how it works. And it's this, the linear regression concept is basically taking all of the data for whatever period, whether it's 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 100 years, and it's calculating basically the center line. And sometimes that center line, by the way, will slope to the upward side, and sometimes it'll slope to the downward side. Sometimes it changes. So what we end up having here with this linear regression line is an ability to follow where the trends are going. Now, that being said, we also have what we call a 100 channel line, and we're going to show you the 50 channel line as part of the linear regression. The 100 channel line makes up for essentially 100% of all the price information within that channel. There is an upper channel, 100, and there is a lower channel, 100. And this line and this line make up literally 100% of all data for that period of time that we're evaluating, whether it's 1 year, 3 months, or 5 years. Now, that being said, we also have a 50 channel line. And what the 50 channel line represents is literally 50% of the data used in the 100 channel line. It's not rocket science, is it? No, it's not. It's pretty simple, straightforward. And man, I'm going to tell you, when you get done using this thing, you won't want to use anything else. It's that critical. It's that important. It's that valuable. There's also a lower channel 50, and that is the blue line. And in the DIPAE process, we will use these colors and these line weights throughout the process. The 100 channel line upper, the 100 channel lower, the 50 channel upper, the 50 channel lower, and of course the almighty and all powerful and the super incredibly important linear regression line in purple. Some people use the term mean. You can go either way, makes no difference to me. I'll probably go with both terms depending on what comes out of my brain. But fundamentally, it's the same thing, the linear regression line or the mean with its channel 50 and 100 partners. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about how to identify a trend. Now, the image that we have right now is basically a 5-year view of the company UPS, United Parcel Service. Of course, everybody knows that. But check this thing out, man. I mean, from 2020, actually, it really begins the end of 2019, all the way through our current period, it's trending up. And that's what the linear regression line does. It shows us as clearly as it can possibly be that it is an upward trending 5-year view stock. Yes, 5-year view. Now, it's possible if you take a look at this 2022 period right in this zone, that's pretty much downtrending. So if we were to pick out that, we would probably see something different. But let's go ahead and cut this up a little bit so that we can kind of visualize the 5-year periods, 23 through 2020. And again, that's probably December 2019, technically speaking. So one of the things that we want to take a look at in this regard is, where is the price relative to the channel? Now, remember, this is the 5-year view. This is not a 1-year view. So if we go back, the 5-year view, the price right now is between the 50 channel line and the 100 channel line, lower channel lines. Pretty much right, not quite exactly in the middle, but close enough for government work, if you know what I mean. But let's look at it in the 1-year view, 2023 exact. Now, remember, we're talking about halfway between the 50 and the 100 channel line. Now, the price is exactly on the mean, on the linear regression line. And not only that, but check that trend. That trend is as down as it gets. Let's take a look at that again. Going back to the 5-year view, this is the full 5-year view where I've put the lines just to kind of chop it up so you can kind of get a different perspective of things. But it's a full 5-year view. The price is in between the 50 and the 100. And if we go to the 1-year view only, and you can see I've downloaded the 1-year view, it sits right on the mean or the linear regression line. This is an important concept, what's going on. The linear regression is folding around the price. It's not the price folding around the linear regression. Here's another example. Right here on the 1-year view, we've peaked out and we're touching the 100 channel line. Now check this out. This is great. When we move to the 5-year view, look where it's at. It's on the linear regression line, the mean. So going back again, look. On the 1-year view, it's up at the top. On the 5-year view, it's down on the mean. Now, this is all going to become very important as we move forward in our level 1 and level 2 and level 3 analysis and defining risk and assessing entry and exit points and these kind of factors. So keep in mind, linear regression is wrapping around the point, the price point, and depends on what year view we're in will determine where we fit on the linear regression channel. It's an important concept, by the way. So let's not forget that, please. Now, let's move on to finding a trend for each of the current 5 years. We already saw the 5-year view. Look at that. That's as beautiful as it gets on this particular company, which is DRS, Leonardo. It's a defense contractor. That's a beautiful, beautiful trending company. 5 years. Let's go to looking at something interesting here. Cycles. Do you see them? Of course you see them. You can't help but miss them. With the linear regression, you can identify the cycles like that. It's unbelievable. It's like magic almost. And you can see in this particular case, it's a full 5-year upward trending stock. And we have one cycle. We have two cycles. Do we have three? Oh, we have three. Do we have four? Yeah, we have four. And do we have five? We have 5 cycles in this 5-year view. Now, keep in mind that it's not always going to be that case, but the reality of it is that a linear regression enables us to look at that cycling very, very easily. It'll just pops right out at us. Without it, this is it's not a unique company to see in this regard, but it's a little bit simpler. The cycles on this are quite nice. In fact, I'm an amazement just sitting here watching it. It's almost like a work of art, but it's not. It's just mathematics. So let's move on to the next item. The assessment of resistance and support levels using linear regression. It's not magic. It's just mathematics. Sometimes we think mathematics can be magic, but it's not. There's a science. And this is one of those cases where it's amazing. You can see the 50 channel line right here in blue. And we have identified a resistance line, or the point where we're most likely going to get a reversal as the price reaches that level. And we can see that has happened at least 3, if not 4 or 5 times. One right here, 1 or 2 right here. Maybe let's just call it 1 time just for fun, merge this stuff together. And the 3rd time and 4th time is right here. You could probably call a 5th time. Basically, and it never really gets past there. We get a little bump over once in a while, but basically we can call that line our resistance, so that when we start approaching this, let's say we buy in down here at the bottom. Oh, interesting. We're going to buy in at the bottom. Could we call that support? Yes, we can call that support. Sure enough, there's support. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to wait until we get to support as defined by that linear regression channel line. And it doesn't get more crystal, particularly with this stock, where our entry point is going to probably be a pretty good spot right there, and down here at the beginning. And we probably can think about something here. We're bouncing off that 50 right now. So we have support, we have resistance, we have entry, we have exit. As we approach these things, the resistance level, we got to manage our trade. And that's the subject of another video and another lesson. But we're going to have to manage the trade because we don't want to lose our capital and we don't want to lose our gain. In fact, we want it all, but we don't want to be so greedy that we lose it, which is oftentimes the case if we don't recognize where resistance is. And linear regression channel helps us define resistance levels and entry levels at support. And that's what we have for linear regression today. And I love talking about this. It's my favorite indicator of all time. It's extremely powerful. And I would encourage everybody to learn more and as much as they can about how to use the linear regression channel. So with that, let's summarize what we just talked about. We talked about the uses, whether it's for trending, for cycling, for resistance, support, for visualizing trends. We talked about what is the linear regression with regards to how it's calculated using a least squares method, a statistical mathematical approach, and we talked about regression using regression, finding all of these elements we just talked about earlier on in terms of uses, trends, cycles, support, and resistance. Man, I love this topic. It is as great as it gets. And for that, I am going to move on out of here. And I enjoyed this discussion as much as you can imagine. Truly, I did. It's a great tool, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us today.